Welcome to BaseballGuys.com. I'm Ray Flowers. Yes, I'm wearing another hockey jersey today. I've been watching the Olympics, which is obviously nicer than scanning reruns of Three's Company or Different Strokes. Nice to have some games that mean something. Speaking of games that mean something, we're almost to the point where pitchers and catchers report for baseball. And obviously, since this is Baseball Guys and since this is an Around the Horn piece, let's focus on what's going on the field of play for baseball. Chien-Ming Wang signed a one-year deal with the Nationals. It's reported at $2 million. We haven't got confirmation of that, but that appears to be what it is. There's a $3 million incentive package built upon that. Not quite certain where he's at right now with his shoulder. He'll be able to pitch at some point this season. Some reports have him missing April. Some reports have him missing April and May. Looks like he's going to miss, at least a good portion of the start of the season. But this is probably a signing looking toward the second two-thirds of the year. If Wang is healthy, and he was a couple of seasons in New York and was a very solid big league pitcher, this is a good, cheap, one-year signing for the Nationals. Could add a lot of depth to a rotation that's pretty young, so it's a good move. In terms of his outlook, he needs that darting, diving, sinking fastball of his to be up to par. Don't know how he's going to be once the shoulder, comes around after the surgery. Shoulder surgeries are a lot different than elbow surgeries, a lot more complicated. So be cautious with Wang. Good signing. We'll have to wait and see if it pans out for the Nationals. Chase Utley, 23 for 23 last year in steals. Tons of fantasy value because he wasn't caught a single time on the bases. Everyone really excited about that. Some people predicting 25-25 this year, maybe 30-30. That is only going to grow with the recent news that apparently Utley has cut 0.2 of a second off of his 30-yard dash time. Did a lot of training this offseason. Again, look for this news to really drive up his value even higher if that's possible. He's obviously a first-round pick in fantasy leagues. Personally, I wouldn't expect those 25 or 30 steals. Guys just don't go perfect year after year in the stolen base category. Even if he's a bit faster, I think 20 steals is probably the top of what you should be looking at with Utley. But this is great news. If his body's healthier, he obviously would have a better chance of being effective late into the season and hopefully not showing the slowdowns that he has the past couple of seasons. Branyan still looking to sign a deal. Reports are that the Indians offered him a major league deal. We don't have dollar figures at the moment, but if it is a major league deal, it would be guaranteed. Kind of odd that the Indians would want to bring Branyan in unless it's a really good deal because they're basically adding a second Travis Hafner. They do have Matt Laporte at first base right now. There's some concern over whether or not he's completely over the surgeries he had in the offseason. So, in terms of what he brings to the field, Branyan might be a nice, cheap fit if his back is healthy. Reports are that it is. Again, haven't had any confirmation here, but no matter where he ends up at this point, it's clear teams don't view Branyan as a full-time first baseman like he was last year for the Mariners. Look for him to return to that role where he's in that 250 to 300 at bat range if everything breaks right for him. Johnny Damon of the Tigers, still talking about it, still nothing to report other than it's going on. There was a report today that actually did say that the belief of this one-year $7 million deal, it might actually be closer to $9 million. Find that hard to believe considering no one's really bidding against him. The only offer we're aware of at the moment is the $4 to $5 million the Braves have put out there. So, remains to be seen if Damon ends up in Detroit, though the signs continue with each passing day to look more and more like that's going to become a reality. Geovany Soto for the Cubs lost 40 pounds this offseason. Questions have now been arisen. Did he take steroids? Did he stop taking steroids and now that's the reason he lost weight? He basically came out and said, that's not true. The truth of the matter is, I was porky. I was chunky, I was chubby, I was out of shape. Now, maybe that's true. I'm not saying he's a performance enhancer user or anything like that. But how a major league athlete, how a professional athlete could lose 40 pounds in 5 months and now be in good shape just goes to show you how woefully out of shape he was last year. It's amazing he could have had any success on the ball field at all considering that. Looking back at his numbers, he actually didn't have any success. So this is probably good news for Soto. He did this once other time in the minors where he lost a lot of weight. It's when he exploded at the dish in AAA. Hopefully he'll return to being an effective offensive weapon. He really wasn't last season. Jose Reyes, not much to report here other than he was out at camp. He was on the field, throwing the ball, fielding grounders, taking time in the cage. It was basically a normal day of practice for Reyes, which is great news with all the concerns with his legs. Look for him to continue to progress slowly through camp. If he doesn't have any setbacks, Reyes will continue to move up draft boards in the fantasy game. He's got the potential, obviously, to be one of the top 10 options if those legs hold up. But because of the concerns with his wheels at this point, he's probably nothing more than a risky second-round pick or a third-round pick in fantasy leagues. You can't afford to have your top pick go out and have another season like he did last year. People that picked him last year probably will avoid him just for that reason in 2010. And finally, Cody Ross won his arbitration case with the Marlins. He's going to get $4.45 million on the one-year deal. Ross is often overlooked in the fantasy game and in baseball in general. He plays for the Marlins, doesn't have the big name. At the same time, He had as many home runs last year as Matt Holliday, and he had more RBIs than Shin-Soo, Brad Hopp, and Justin Upton. So remember that. Cody Ross, named to file away and draft late in fantasy leagues. His name may not be there, but his game certainly is. Again, I'm Ray Flowers, BaseballGuys.com. This has been Around the Horn, and I look forward to talking with you later in the week.